The Gi Spot. I'd hit that.
Welcome to the Gi Spot podcast. My name's Rachael Bradshaw and I'm a black belt in Jiu Jitsu.
And well, hello, I'm Kaz Page and I'm a purple belt in Jiu Jitsu. And we're back.
How are you?
Yay, I'm good. How are you? Look,
Good,
I'm going to
good.
spend the next 5 minutes playing with my microphone while I figure out how I'm comfortable today.
Oh, you were supposed to do that before.
I know.
That's part of the pre-setup.
You can tell who's a good girl, all sit, ready, nice, comfortable, and
I'm
me
here.
who's going to fidget
I'm
for
sitting
the
like a
next
good
20 minutes.
schoolgirl in a chair right now.
It's an exciting day.
Oh, man.
It's an
Super
exciting weekend. It's been very, very awesome.
Yep.
We are going to throw a disclosure in. This episode's being released later in January, but we are recording this between the week of Christmas and New Year.
Yes, we are.
And we've got a lot of downtime going on at the moment with people not having to work, so it's a really good time to rock on with a few open mats. And we have a really special guest with us today who's sitting in the studio who we're going to introduce in a minute. But first, how was your week? Retro.
Well, my week kind of is going to include our guest.
I know, but you can't say his name.
Not yet.
All right, you can.
Okay, we have the amazing, wonderful Mitch Langman into the podcast today.
Yay!
Welcome, Mitch.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you're here.
I am here.
How does it feel?
It's exciting.
Yay.
It's exciting. Last time I was here with Jerry and I got to sit and creep in the background when you guys were chatting. So
That's
yeah.
right.
Now
I don't
I'm
think we had
front and
video
centre.
then, did we?
No, I don't
No?
think we did. No, we just took photos.
That's
we
right.
just had some photos.
You were in the
Yeah, yeah.
photos. Now we're live on video. We
here.
get to see your beautiful face.
Oh,
Ooh,
shucks.
Look, you're blushing.
Oh, yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about you? Do an introduction of you, who your coach is, because I know we have a lot of international listeners. Some
do.
may not know you specifically, but they'll definitely know your lineage. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my name is Mitch Langman. So born Australian. I've trained all around the world, which has been absolutely amazing. About 14 years ago, I was introduced to Jiu Jitsu. Actually, 18 years ago. But Jiu Jitsu was in its very raw form back then, and it was just ripe for injury. So I steered clear of it massively. And then 4 years later, hit the mats with some really great guys from Canberra. And soon after that was when I was introduced to Chris Howder. And Chris Howder became effectively my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach and under my lineage of combat base. And it's been absolutely great since then. And I've now black belt underneath Chris, due for my first degree, which I was due in literally a few days ago. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So
Exciting.
before we dive into a lot around the jiu-jitsu side, and we've got a lot to talk about for this weekend and everything
yes.
too. But I do want to, can we go back a step first? Let's go back to little Mitch. Tell us about you growing up and what got you into any form of martial arts and where did you start?
So the story of me is an interesting one, and as you're aware, I'm writing a book.
I know.
And it has that little kind of feature in there.
It does.
But it's kind of very typical when you chat to people. You kind of expect everyone's had the perfect little childhood and upbringing, and you find out majority of people from divorced parents. Whether it be raised by alcoholics, et cetera, et cetera, and then invariably some form of trauma. So for me personally, it was I unfortunately witnessed my best friend get hit and killed by a car 2 meters ahead of me as we were going across a road. And so that straight away triggered some real deep control and emotional regulation issues and that kind of deal. And then moving on from that, I have the pleasure of having one brother. He's 3 years older than me. And when he was 16, he started doing Muay Thai. And being the good little brother that I was, I begged and pleaded, and he told me no. So I drew the ace card, which was my mum, and said, cool, you're taking your little brother with you. He was like, ah. So he stayed going for about another year or two, and then he stopped training, and I just kept going. So Muay Thai was my first martial art that I actually stuck with from the age of 13.
And why do you think you stuck with it? Was it the coaches? Was it the community? Was it the aggression that you could release? What was it about Muay Thai that you connected with?
Oh, look, there's something about making it tangible and making it real. So there's a lot of martial arts out there that are more art than martial, and there's a lot of martial arts that are more martial than art. Whereas I found that Muay Thai had this beautiful balance of, people can rock along and just do pad work. They can just hit bags, but you can also spar and you can also compete and you can fight.
Yep.
And, there's, for me personally, there's a big difference between fighting in the ring, like bare shin, going at it, versus just competing, which is very similar to padded tournaments and that kind of thing. And so to be able to take the subjective nature of things and then go, okay, cool, let's make it tangible, let's make it real, and let's test it. And which led me into following with Jerry Wetzel. And because that's one of my good coaches as well and good friends. And that is his whole motto is, what is your test? And so for me, just having this ability to go to a place, learn a thing, and then be able to put the theoretical into practice, it was huge for me. So, yeah.
So you kind of touched on it last night when you were taking a class for us at Iconic about Muay Thai being your first love. At what point did you discover Jiu Jitsu and how did you move into that?
That took so long to happen.
Yep.
So long to happen.
Were you fighting it or you just were really focused? Why?
No, well, my first experience of it was I almost had my arm broken and my knee twisted out, and that was just playing with some guys in Canberra.
Right.
And because again, it wasn't refined back then. It was very gun ho, and so we're talking 2006, 2007, thereabouts.
The rooms were different back then. That's about when I first dipped into Jiu Jitsu as well.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly it. And so now everyone's kind of got this, there's no replacement for displacement, so weight matters. And the energy and attitude has been dialed in massively, and a real focus on technique and the safety of your training partners has been really dialed in as well, which the Thais have had forever because their training partners are the number one resource. Probably more so than the coaches, to be honest. Because without them, who do you have to practice with and who do you have to practice on? It's
not a numbers game for them.
Correct. Yeah, and when you're doing it for for your welfare and well-being and your income,
and that's even bigger over there as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I mean, jiu-jitsu is rife with memes. And it's true though. Like the spazzy white belt is a real thing. And so way back when that was my first kind of experience intro to it was like. No.
Yeah.
And so, I did fight it for the longest time. And I was definitely one of those guys going, why do you need to know it? And this is terrible. And
why do you want to get in pajamas and lay on the floor with other sweaty men?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, clinch is enough for me. And good luck taking me down and I'll knee you in the head and blah, 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 blah. And then, it was actually over in Perth when Jerry first came out to Australia and I met Jerry for the first time that the gym we're training at, which is run by James Woodfield Jones, and he coaxed me onto the mats, and I was like, and I did it, and it was really fun. I was like, okay, cool. When I get back to Canberra, I'll hook up with the guys, reestablish, because the gym that I was running Muay Thai out of, Stockade Training Centre in Canberra, they had some really good, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, and I was like, okay, let's go. And I was hooked. Yeah. And so I always explain that, Muay Thai is my long-serving wife. I love her, but Jiu-Jitsu is my mistress, the temptress, so to speak. So,
the bit on the side. Has the mistress taken over a little bit?
No, definitely not.
So Muay Thai still is your first love?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to be able to get in and, strike pads, hold pads for people, be able to work, and it's people describe jiu-jitsu as human chess, and you go, and there's a lower barrier for entry because everyone's used to giving people hugs. Not everyone's used to being punched in the face or punching people in the face. So to navigate that space where you go, cool, bow, touch, gloves, and now there's this space between you, to navigate that is so important. And I love that, the social engineering aspect of it, to be able to go, cool, we've now need to deploy tactic in this. And it's very funny because I saw a meme the other day, or something posted up by one of the, I can't remember which coach it was, and he goes, you listen to the technique and the feedback which is given by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches for their opponents, for the competitors, and they give them such technical feedback, whereas you listen to fighters, like boxers and everything. It's rip his head off and be more aggressive. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah, hit harder, right? That's exactly, I'm trying.
My punch throw is only so hard.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Whereas, I find it funny because I'll be mat side with my students and I'll be breaking down, and then when I'm with my fighters, it'll literally be knee, T, punch, body, head.
Harder.
It's just so different. The worlds are so different.
Yeah, look, I'll admit I do jiu-jitsu. I don't like being punched. But at our academy, we do sometimes include strikes.
Yep.
But it's about defending them, not about doing them, right? So if we'll play this game where you can put gloves on, and if you're on top, you get to hit or slap, right? But if you're on the bottom, you have to get out, because that's a terrible place to be when strikes are involved, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and coming into gradings and the higher gradings and that, they're not so much of a slap.
No,
No, they get a bit harder.
they're not entirely a punch.
No.
Well, they put big
Big
gloves
gloves
on.
on.
Yeah.
No, but Chris Howder says the exact same thing, that if you're, so Chris has his, the 4 golden rules, but it's 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please run us through those.
Yeah, so in the way that Chris preaches, which is on all of his merchandise, everything, which is think street, train sport, practice the art.
Yeah.
So think street keeps it honest.
Yeah.
If I needed to use this in a life or death situation, would it actually work?
Yeah.
If we train street, we have problems, because you would get injured, I get injured, we all get injured. That's one aspect. The other aspect is we end up doing this, wushu kind of thing that you can't actually test.
Yep.
So we train the sport. The training sport allows you to get your practicality out of it. It gets your reps out. It allows you to actually train under resistance. But it has to, the development from it comes from the art form. And what is the art? And the art is jiu-jitsu, the art is boxing, the art is wrestling, the art is Muay Thai, whatever it is. And so that is where all the developmental aspects come from. And so Chris's golden rules is rule number 1, be the guy on top.
Yep.
So it's way easier. Way easier.
Yeah, it's much more fun.
Way more fun.
Yeah, you get to breathe.
Yeah, and especially and if you did need to hit, you've now got gravity on your side, and for MMA purposes, you want to be the guy on top and all that kind of deal. And then for self-preservation, you want to be able to disengage and move at leisure effectively. Yep. And you guys had Jerry Wetzel on the podcast, and the ground fighting overview, which is the ground component of Redzone Threat Management. We don't teach mount, we don't teach back. They're the 2 highest scoring positions in jiu-jitsu, but in outside the context of a one-on-one street fight, and we did this with Chris and Jerry, like I was in another room, like a solid, 10, 15 meters away, and Jerry had Chris in, Chris had Jerry in mount, and Jerry called for my help, and I ran out, and all Chris had to do was disengage, but Jerry was holding on to him.
Yep.
And as I ran past, I kicked his head off. And I can get there very quickly, because to actually disengage from mount is very difficult.
So side control, knee on belly, they're
Side
better
control, knee on
options.
belly, side saddle,
Yep.
so side ride from turtle, all that kind of thing, And you don't want to be tied up with someone. Effectively, you want to be able to disengage, eyes on the horizon, and keep it safe.
Yeah.
And so, again, going back to the golden rules, rule number 1, be the guy on top. And rule number 2, when on top, stay on top. Don't do anything silly, fancy, or otherwise, and end up on bottom.
Yep.
Rule number 3, have a guard you shall not pass. So
if you do get stuck on bottom, make sure you can keep them there.
Pull them to guard, control that posture, and then from there you're going to sweep, you're going to submit, or you're going to stand up.
Yep.
And in all 3 of those cases, you're following rule number 1.
Yeah.
Rule number 4, never forget rule number 1. Often forgotten due to the seductive nature of guard, because when you start learning, you start going, I can just lie on my back and spread my legs, and then,
It's a whole other podcast.
I was going to say wrong podcast.
That's exactly it.
And I actually mumbled it last night too when you said it. I couldn't help myself. Whole different training.
And then rule number 5 is learn the rules so you can break them.
Yeah.
Effectively. And
I
that's
really
where,
like that one. And I think last night was probably one of the first times I've heard rule number 5. I've heard all the other rules, but I think
so whenever I ask Chris, like, I always see quoted 4, but literally when I was here, I've got the graffiti in my gym. We've always run by rule number 5. Why don't you run rule number 5? And he goes, people don't get it.
Yep.
People don't get it. So until the very top end when they go conceptual,
Yes.
they go, okay, right. Now to really get my game rocking, I need to be on bottom. I need to break all the rules.
Yep.
I need to try and submit someone in their guard.
Yep.
I need to, try and bench press someone off mount. I need to do all these things so I can see what someone does and how they respond, how they react.
Yeah.
Because it's a good old thing of position before submission, but you can use a threat of a submission to attain the position to be able to achieve the submission.
Yeah.
So,
and it's something that until you sort of get to that level, you don't realize that you start to bait traps by giving a bit. It's like, I always say, it's like when you go fishing. You throw the rod out. You don't throw the rod out. You throw the line out and you get that nibble.
Yeah.
And if you just reel that thing in real quick, you'll lose the fish. So what do? You reel it in a little and then you give a little bit more. And then you reel it in again and then you relax the line. And by doing that, the fish is like, oh, this is,
it's a live bait.
That's right. I'm going to
fish
keep
is chasing
playing.
the
I'm
live
going to
bait.
keep, being attached to you. And that's where you start to lay your little traps. So you have to kind of go, oh, here's an arm.
I think
Take my arm.
there's a learning, there's a timeline in that to be able to achieve that too. Like you said, like you've got to get up a bit higher to really grasp that concept. Because anything before that, you're dead set on defense.
Yeah.
You're trying to learn to survive.
Well, that's right. If a white belt goes, oh, here's an arm, they're going to lose their arm.
Yeah, that's right,
If a
yeah.
black belt goes, here's my arm,
Yeah.
then they're going to use that to then pass the guard
Yeah.
and get on top and do all those things that they need to do.
the best is when you give them something and they don't know whether to take it or not.
Yeah,
It's
when
like,
they're terrified.
That's a trap. Who knows?
Rolling with your husband is that
Yeah.
because he'll do something and then it's you don't know it's a bait until he giggles. And then you
he
you
always
don't
giggles.
know. Should I take it or should I not take it? Now I'm really confused.
Well, I don't know if you heard us rolling last night, but we were giggling because we were just baiting. It was ours. Well played, sir.
Yeah.
And they're the best roles, aren't they?
They're awesome.
They really
Absolutely
are.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just don't know until you get there. It's a whole other thing.
I'm back there rolling.
I know.
So good.
Let's
know,
talk
I
about
know
that
that.
for a second.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You had
Yeah.
proper roles this morning.
I did, and last night.
Yep.
So Matt came back onto the mats with me Friday night, T-shirt night.
That's right. Yes.
T-shirt night. So hang on, talk about T-shirt night for a second
Okay.
because that's so much fun. It's
So
iconic.
end of the year, we always like to finish up on a something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And think street, train sport.
Yep.
Practice
There you
art,
go.
right? So, if you ever in an altercation on the street, they're probably going to be wearing clothing. And that's why we wear the gi, because it simulates clothing but it survives, night to night training.
Yep.
And you get to keep this bit of clothing for years and years. If we all rocked up in our T-shirts every night, we'd be going through entire wardrobes of clothing, right? But the reality is the T-shirt is a bit flimsier than the gi. So, and if you are ever in a situation, unless you're up against some guy that strips his T-shirt off, which becomes no gi, they're going to be wearing probably a T-shirt, probably a flannel, probably something that you can hang on to.
Yep.
So, but there's slightly different ways of dealing with that material. So we do a T-shirt class at the end of the year, and it's kind of like our final celebration of the year. And everyone comes in their old T-shirts. They don't mind getting ripped up. And the goal is that the T-shirts do not survive the night. So we're learning chokes, we're learning all kinds of things. And by the end of the night or by the beginning of the night, we're all putting T-shirts over people's faces and trying to suffocate them and wrap them around their neck 28 times.
We had a lot of that.
I've got this mad T-shirt burn
T-shirt
under
burn.
my arm from someone. And then when you were teaching the lapel class, it got the same spot. I'm like,
So we run a similar event at Christmas every year, a thrift roll.
right.
And so everyone, it's a
Yes.
$20 maximum.
Yep.
Because we don't want anyone wearing anything good.
Yes.
So you go to Vinnie Salvo's,
Yep.
wherever it is, and you just pick out. Invariably, you see a lot of cross-dressing. It was
I'm
by
not mad
design.
about that.
It
That's
just happens.
hilarious.
And
That's a lot of people willing to have a lot of fun.
That's exactly it. And but it's hilarious because exact same thing. So you'll lose buttons,
Yep.
Yeah.
but the collars don't rip.
Yep.
The actual seams on the shirts, they don't rip. The material might rip.
Yep.
But you've got guys in suit jackets and you're just using the lapels, exact same thing, using all the collars, exact same way. One year I found remember Prince, the big fluffy.
Oh, yeah.
And literally it was like giant
The
elastic.
purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that
Yeah.
would have made a mess of your mats.
Oh, it was hilarious. 'Cause there was sequins everywhere.
That's
yeah,
cleaning up
literally,
for days.
you use it just to choke people out. And it was incredible. And, it's one thing to try and defend a lapel, but when the material is T-shirt, it just goes in the
straight
smallest
up.
gaps.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Fills
that's
up
what
real quick.
that's one of the
Yeah.
things we found. You can get chokes easier in some ways when you use the T-shirt. So
Way.
Keep playing with my microphone. And I'm still not. I'm
So
still
that
not
was your
settled.
that was your first official night.
Yeah.
Back on
So
the mat?
I had said to Matt that because I've started doing day classes, right, and I was just taking it real slow and steady. And I said to Matt, I wanted him to start coming to the day classes with me. We weren't officially going to come back to Jiu Jitsu properly until January, but. Yeah, I'm impatient. So
Patience is not your virtue.
it's not my virtue. Matt's over there in the corner frowning at me. And so I asked him if he could start coming to a couple of day classes with me just to be my drill dummy and, help me. And because he knows me, how far I can go, and he knows when to tap me going, "Oi, dickhead, slow down." And so a couple of times he'd already had pre-bookings for physio and stuff for his hand, so he couldn't make it. So the T-shirt one was kind of the first time we had really come back, and we were going to do some rolls and we were going to just see how it went. And it was just awesome. The first roll I did with him, I lasted all bar a minute of the roll. I think it was 5-minute rounds, and I was just short. And I gassed myself out because I've gotten zero cardio now. And so, but, we were both mindful of what was going on. And then I sat down for a couple of rolls and I came back and I had another full roll with him and went 5 minutes. And my whole conscious process right now is to work focusing on my legs, really being present in my body and trying to steer clear of my head, my neck, just trying to keep them away from my head, my neck. I've never been so present in rolls prior to the surgery.
It's actually a good way to train.
Oh, it is. It's
Because
super.
if you are looking after your head and your neck,
Yeah.
that means they are not touching your
Yeah.
head and your neck,
Yeah.
which also means that they cannot punch you
Yep.
if strikes were involved.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's and, self-preservation, right? Because I want to be around for I want to get my black belt. If I drop dead after that, I'm good. But I want to get my black belt. Or if I can't, after that, fine. But I want to get my black belt. So self-preservation's a really big thing now all of a sudden. And then, so we had a few good rolls on the T-shirt night. And then you were coming up to do the seminar. So we're like, yes, we're all in. We're there. So we came back again.
Yep. And so what that was about is we've started like a coach swap initiative.
Yeah.
And Mitch, when you were up here with Jerry, we were talking about it, and I think you were like, hey, I'd love to be in on that.
Yep.
So, which is really cool for us because we get to go to Canberra.
Yeah. And it's amazing down there. Some of the museums and stuff that you can do down there now is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you were coming up to do that, and we're all in, we're there. That was a really interesting night because it was all lapel teaching, and it was all around the neck a lot. And so Matt and I, very mindful of my neck, but I wasn't in pain. I wasn't hurting. I'm learning now that there is a point I can go to. And then I've got to go, all right, I need to rest for a minute, or I just need to lie still, or I need to do something. And then we had a couple of really good rolls that night too. And then back today for open mat, which was fucking huge. I don't know. Do you have any idea how many people were on the mats
I did.
this
I
morning?
counted up the photos. So
Yep.
90 people rolling.
Holy
And there were
shit.
more people that were just sitting and watching
yeah.
that weren't rolling. But
Yeah.
90 people.
90 people on the mats. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was huge. There was just people everywhere. And so this morning I did 2 rolls with him, and then I did another 2 or 3 rolls with other people. And it's the first time I did a roll with you, which you laughed at me a lot. You're like, we're not ping-ponging here, Cass.
No, man. I thought I was in for a nice friendly roll. She gets on top, and it was like so controlled. It was like you have not forgotten stuff.
Yay.
And you weren't letting me have an inch.
Yay.
At all. And I was just like, I'm not having fun. No, I was having a lot of fun. But I was saying to Matt, there was one point where I was in your guard and like everything was so tight. And I was like, I started to stand up and I was like, oh, damn it, I can't stack her on her neck. Okay, back down to the knees. There goes my jiu-jitsu.
Yay. Thank you for avoiding my neck.
So I was still looking after you in the role.
Yeah,
but man,
yeah.
like it was so good. Like
Yeah.
it felt really
I come away from every role on a high.
Yeah.
Like whether I was doing good, whether I wasn't doing good, there were some moments there in some of the roles where I'm like, could you just work? Like I feel like I only have one arm right now. I just need you to kick in. But even with those moments, I still come away going, oh, I'm back. This might, because for so long, even though I've talked constantly about coming back and it's always been a very forward thinking, yes, I'm going to do this, there's always that seed of doubt. What if this hasn't worked? What if the surgery hasn't, and I go back and it just takes one roll to fuck it all up and I'm, back to square one.
Or you just find, no, I can't.
Yeah. So there's been since, pretty much August, there's been that fear in the back of my head that's been constantly, maybe this is gone for good. And it's not until you start getting back into it and you get to the end of it and your body's like, no, we got you, Kaz. We got you. We're okay.
Because it's
I'm
twofold,
sore,
right? It is like the actual injuries there, and then you have to learn to sort of trust yourself
Yeah.
and your partners
Yep.
again. So
Yep.
have you dealt, Mitch, with any major injuries?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm always a fan of active recovery.
Is your injury list like another whole podcast episode?
No, actually, it's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, seriously,
That's
it's not.
cool.
Yeah, so the
Uncommon, but
yeah,
cool.
I know. It's weird, and literally, I was chatting to your younger boy,
Flynn. Yeah.
Flynn. Yeah, 'cause his ankles.
Yeah, because
busted,
he's got a broken foot at the moment.
Sports ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No,
sports ball's
terrible.
way more dangerous than Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, and everything.
I agree. Like whenever I have students that really get injured and have to take time off the mats, sometimes it's jiu-jitsu related, but oftentimes it's they were
No,
fucking
sports
around
ball.
and found out.
No, it's sports ball. It's 100% sports ball.
Yeah.
Oh, I went and played basketball. The number of guys, we got one of the guys who had a massive compound fracture, just a pickup game of rugby.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, he was literally just a pickup game of touch. And it wasn't even that he was doing anything. He literally just moved off the line, boom, blew his Achilles.
Yeah.
I was like,
man.
dude, stop playing sports ball.
I did an ACL with soccer in a car park in a pair of Ugg boots.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Fuck around and find out.
my right knee, I've subluxed it 31 times medially
Jesus.
and one full dislocation laterally. Now, caveat on that is that I genetically am predispositioned to subluxations. I've got a large patella groove with small high-rise patellas, so I've just got to keep them strong.
Right.
But rugby, sports ball,
Yep.
again. So at the ripe age of 15 and literally I was a winger, so I got the ball, I was sprinting down the side, and this guy was maybe 2 metres from the line. He ducked down to tackle and I went, I've been doing Muay Thai for 2 years. I'll knee him in the face.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, he was fine. My patella shot out, and that was the first sublux and elongated the medial ligament. And so then I thought, well, exact same thing, like, this is me, this is it.
Yeah.
And then, that took weeks and years to rebuild effectively. And to date, I've avoided surgery.
Yep.
Wow.
And my good friend is a surgeon in Canberra. He said, look, at the point where you can't, that's when we need to.
Yep.
But if you can keep going, like he goes, you have no cartilage, you have fissures, you are prone for osteoarthritis and everything like that. But
the minute they go
you go in,
that osteoarthritis, boom, it's a trigger.
Boom.
Yep,
That's
you're
exactly
off. That's what they were saying to me.
So, so I've when I did the full dislocation of my knee, doing Muay Thai with one of my clients, I did a Y kick, so like a Sanchai is like famous for it. You put one hand down, you get up.
Oh, yes,
Come back down, yeah.
Capoeira.
Yeah, it looks like a capoeira kick, absolutely.
I know what that is
did
now.
That.
Have you know?
Did that, and I pulled the kick and landed, and my knee just shot, and my patella was literally sitting on the side of my thigh. And I say that I took it like very, stoic.
Yes.
Apparently, I was honking like a duck. It's contested. And then called the paramedics. They or the ambulance. They came literally like as they've pulled up. It just went and popped back in. I was like, oh, thank you. They took me in, got all the scans and everything, splintered it. I was back coaching that night.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
No damage.
No green whistle.
No green whistle. No nothing.
Wow.
And yeah, I've had scans of it and everything. So it just does what it does. So I've just got to keep it strong and everything. But the only bad one that I've got, again, still Muay Thai, is I was training one of my good friends, Rachael. He had a fight upcoming. and I threw an overhand, and he kind of ducked into it and just fractured the knuckle. It just went pop. It's like, kept doing all the rounds, finished, took my hand out of the glove, went, that doesn't look right, does it?
Oh.
Let's go to hospital. And yeah, that was it.
So what did they do? Did they
nothing,
just pop it back in?
No, literally just sat there and they went, okay, cool, don't punch with it for a while. I'm like, okay. They put me in a duck bill.
Oh, yeah, Matt was in that for a while. Yeah, he's shaking his head. Yep, been there.
Yep, 3 days later, the duck bill's in 3 parts.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, have you seen Matt's hand brace?
It's exactly
He was cutting it, filing it.
Yep. And so I could articulate fine, which you're not supposed to. But yeah, no, everything came out absolutely fine. And that luckily I've gotten away with like minimal actual
Touch
injuries.
wood, quick. Yeah.
Good to say, right? And but yeah, but I've got that many incidental injuries.
Yeah.
Mainly from rugby, so those are my thumbs. So like,
Wow. Do you still play rugby?
No, hell no. No. So I played from 15 to 19.
Okay.
And just accumulated that many injuries from it.
Yeah.
But from actual Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu, I've had minimal. But literally just the knee, and I could be standing talking to you and turn, and it pops out.
Yeah.
And so have you now like just gotten used to that, and you just can put it back in fairly quickly?
No, it just subluxes, so it goes, and goes back in. And so then it's a matter of, okay, cool, retrain the VMOs, keep compression on it.
Yep.
Try
and
to
it
get
just comes
swelling
out
down.
of nowhere for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, it is just the usual bumps and bruises and that kind of deal. But neck is one that I'm always very careful of.
Yep.
But again,
well, we've only got one of them, haven't we?
Yeah, thanks. I didn't treat mine very well.
I was training recently, and one of the black belts said to me, "Oh, you know it's really good, like when you use your head as a weapon, and go up underneath their chin." And I'm like, "Do you know that I'm like one of the few black belts on this mat that doesn't have a sore neck? It's because I don't use my head as a weapon."
Yeah, that's it.
And he's like, "That's a really good point. I'm going to have to rethink some of my jiu-jitsu." Because, you get to a point where you look at this thing and you go, okay, what's important to me? That I win this round or that I'm still training when I'm 80?
Yeah.
That's more important to me.
Yep.
Yeah, that was unfortunately hindsight for me. I think there is a sense of maturity that you have to get to in martial arts, whatever it is. I did Taekwondo for many, many, many years, and I took a lot of beatings through that sport too. But I think a lot of the years in when I'm doing stuff, I had a very I'm invincible mentality, whether I realised it or not through the process. And so I would be that person that would not give up. And you'd have to really beat me to be able for me to stop. So when I came into jiu-jitsu, I was probably no smarter at that point either, and even through training, because I've not ever competed in jiu-jitsu. I've competed in everything else I've ever done, but not jiu-jitsu. And it's been a very hard thing for me to drop that mentality in just training. And I think because I was so conditioned in the previous things that I've done between training and competition, I didn't have that in jiu-jitsu. It was just, I'm going to jiu-jitsu and I'm going to go up against people and that's where I'm going to be. And so it took a long time for me to get to that, I guess, maturity to go, I can just train. I don't have to win here. I can just train. Oh, look at me go. I can do this.
And for a lot of it, just turn up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And that's
here.
such a big statement.
Yeah.
That's it. I think people underestimate how big a statement just turn up actually is.
Yep. So the joys of jiu-jitsu is that you can get middle-aged guys who have never thrown down in their life, but they still believe in the red mist. The body start dropping and that kind of thing. And you can get them on the mats, and especially in gi, and you can just get hold of them and lock them down and go, you are now powerless. And they'll go, and you can feel them vibrating with energy. And they don't go anywhere. And you go, cool, like you're stuck. You're stuck. Okay, now calm down. And that's where you get, whereas in boxing, in Muay Thai, Taekwondo, that kind of thing, if you get that nervous energy guy and you go, okay, cool.
Distance.
So we had our wasn't our boxing day, it was our thrift roll. And so we do a thrift roll and a thrift spar. So the guys spar in
in
like
the
fancy
clothes
dress.
too.
Yep, absolutely. And one of our students brought their partner, and partner did taekwondo, but he hasn't like sparred, for a while. And he was not a small guy, and his legs were like throwing axes. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a bad day. And I was watching him spar, and I was like, okay, cool. There's a little bit of danger here because I don't think he realizes like how heavy and big his legs are and how fast his legs are moving.
Yeah.
And so I went, okay, we'll grab him, we'll do a round, and just 1 leg kick, 2 leg kick, 3 leg kick, 4 leg kick, 5, 7, 14, just leg kicks. And he went, oh, we don't really do leg kicks in Taekwondo. I was like, no, and I'm trying to tell you to stop.
Yep.
Like,
this is
light.
what you're,
They're light.
Yeah.
It's just cumulative.
Yeah.
And that's about the only way you can really kind of give the educational beatdown in Thai.
Yep.
In boxing, you can just liver shot people, but again, that's that solid impact. Kind of, it sounds like a soul is leaving the body.
Yeah, it does. That's nothing fun.
But apart from that though, it's just all brain damage and CT. So whereas that's why I default, and I do love jiu-jitsu is because you can go and just lock on and go, cool, you're not moving now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether on top or bottom, they're useless.
And interestingly enough too, and I've probably learnt this more so now from Rach than ever before, is that you're listening for their breathing.
Yeah.
Because you can... like, oh, good. You want to continue now? Okay.
Or that they are actually breathing.
Yeah. Oh, no, don't worry about that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But I do hear...
That's that mental tap out.
Yeah.
Because they're like, trying to push you off. And then they'll just go,
Fuck
like, I don't know what to do now. They've run out of answers.
That's it,
and that's the point at which you can then progress.
Yep.
So, that's
And
something,
release and
especially
let
as a
go.
smaller person on the mats with giants, because we have them. That's the thing that I listen for is when they mentally tap out.
Yep. So let's go back a step for a second. So we've talked about your first love, your wife being Muay Thai, but you own a gym.
Yes.
What's your gym?
Dark Carnival.
In Canberra.
In Canberra, yeah.
Okay. How long have you owned that?
So it was created in 2010. We were running our Muay Thai program out of Stockade Training Centre for around... Actually, no, we started in a school hall. Sorry, my garage, then a school hall. And then I think it was 2011, I believe it was. Started off in Stockade Training Centre in Dixon. Then full-time, Dark Carnival was 2013, June 2013.
Okay.
So full-time operation now 11 years.
You've got a similar growth beginning or origin story as to what we do. And it was such a time, wasn't it, to be able to start a business in this area where you could start off small and then build as your client base built.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly
you didn't lose. These days, people open up academies and they've got to like throw everything into this massive space, full timetable, because in order to compete with the other academies that have been established, they've
got to be all in.
They've got to be all in. And it's honestly, I would, it would
It's
do
not
my
something
head in.
that you can start in a garage anymore.
No, definitely not.
So business, and we've talked about this quite a bit, business versus being really good at what you do. So you decided to go out on your own, independent, your own gym, everything. I want to go back first. Dark Carnival. I do love the name.
It is cool.
It is very cool. Tell us how you came to that name for the business.
The best thing is when we went to register it, or when I went to register it, the guy who was doing the registration for us went, I would never send my kids here. And I'm like, I don't want your kids to come here. Like, it's fine. So I went, fine, we'll call it Canberra Muay Thai Trading as Dark Carnival. And he was like, okay, we'll do that. And then within 2 years, I was like, no, it's Dark Carnival.
Yep.
And it is what it is. So I've always loved, so the first exposure to like the kind of theory and the ethos of the Dark Carnival was Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is the story of a traveling circus. And it's technically worldwide, but it's set in America.
Yeah.
And so this little carnival goes from town to town and it tempts people and it bright lights and all this kind of thing. But all of the attractions are tests. And if you succeed in the tests, you leave richer for the experience. If you fail, you become part of the carnival. So the carnival absorbs you.
Is this a book?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to read this book.
That
it's an
sounds like
amazing
a
book. It's
song.
really,
You may
really cool.
you may enter, but you may never leave.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar
exactly.
lines.
Yep. Exactly. And so I read that book as a kid and I loved it. Like I was like, this is cool. And then so that was kind of my first exposure. And then second to that was a book. I can't remember the name of it. It's either Shadow Show or Shadow Play. And it was very similar concept of this traveling circus, but it had a curse on it. And the curse was like this killer clown. And
I love a good killer clown.
Clown scared the shit out of me.
But the whole thing was that the clown showed aggression, showed like everything, and all it was looking for was love and kindness, caring, compassion. And so exactly right. And so when the antagonist went okay, like no, let's understand. And when they started to understand, and then
So
all
it's
of
a
a sudden,
happy story.
it's actually it's a happy story, right? There was murders in it. Don't get me wrong.
Well, there are people that deserve that. So you know, I'm
Yes,
just throwing it out there.
killing
Not all
clown,
human
but-
life is valuable, right? That's exactly it. And then, of course, I would be completely remiss if I didn't. Insane Clown Posse, ICP. So they're a hip hop horrorcore out of the US, and like. Yeah, whoop whoop.
Producer Matt in the background.
As like ghetto Detroit, effectively two white boys, and they just stuck with it. And I had the opportunity, so I started listening to them when I was about 16, 17. I was like, and they ran with the ethos of the Dark Carnival. Like they have these Jokers cards, they have everything.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, this is all the stuff that I love. Like, and again, they play off as this like really kind of, dark, but what are they actually, kind of preaching about is God. Religion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're like devoutly religious individuals. And
Holy
it's like,
shit.
yeah.
So when you get past all the noise and screaming and aggression, it's actually God loves you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And we just want you to find God effectively. So I myself am not overly religious, but
Me
to
either.
have this good outcome and to have this, okay, regardless of the path, here's the outcome.
It's karma for me.
Yeah, that resonates with
Yep.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And so Dark Carnival, I was like, yep, cool, because like you guys haven't been to my gym yet.
No, but I've seen photos.
Yeah. It's big and it's black and
Yep.
it does not look inviting. That's the first test.
And you,
'Cause-
and you have the things on the front.
Yep.
Like it's a big.
It is intimidating.
Yeah.
It's daunting, right? And so people have got to have some level of courage to walk through the door.
Yep. And they rock in, and we are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yep.
And we
you just want love and hugs, right?
That's exactly it, right? And they come in and they're like, they're all kind of nervous, and it's like, good, like you done your first test done, awesome.
Yep.
Second test, get on the mats.
Yep.
And then they jump on the mats, and invariably they go, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. It's like, because we are here physically, mentally, and emotionally, because we train competitors and we train fighters, but we're not a fight gym. I'm far more interested in the individuals.
Yep. Because you actually do coaching in life and people and things like that too, don't you? Like this isn't all just martial arts for you.
No. It's so we've got what's referred to as our war room. And our war room, it's got a boardroom table, it's a pool table. It's got a lid on it. But it's a giant whiteboard, and it's where we do our plotting and planning and world domination and that kind of thing. But up the top it says, what is your business, what do you sell?
Yep.
And what is our business? Dark Carnival is in the business of life and performance coaching. What do we sell? Experience.
Nice.
And at not one point did I say martial arts. Yep, but we use martial arts as our vehicle for how we do this, because exactly as you say, you've never been as mindful and present as you were when you're on the mats with an injury and that kind of thing. And so we get people rock in, you go, hey, so what brings you in? They go, I just want to be fitter, faster, be able to look after myself. And you go, okay, cool. And you build that rapport with them 3-4 months later and you go, cool, so why are you really here?
Yep.
And they go, oh.
There's a story.
And there's a story. Yep. And it's that power of the story. And so to be able to actually base that story, and again, going back to the practical application of this theoretical.
I'm fascinated. Hang on a second. Have you ever had a person who's walked in and said, I'm here to get fitter, healthier, happier, whatever, and there's not been a story?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
More than not, Because I find
No.
it I don't,
No.
I reckon there are far more people out there with a story, with
Absolutely.
a reason, with a deep-seated that they're not prepared to bring to the surface yet.
Have you ever met a psychologist that isn't messed up?
No,
Right.
and I know a lot of them.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Yep,
It's that usual thing that that in my belief that people study psychology and the human brain is because they've come from such a traumatic.
Yeah. They want to
kind of event
understand it
passing.
and they
Yeah,
need
they
to
want to
control
understand
it.
it.
Yep.
And so for majority of people, that might be for females, it might be, unfortunately domestic violence, sexual assault,
Yep.
rape, that kind of background, traumatic background. For guys, it might be the exact same thing.
Yes.
Yep.
Familial violence, or just the perception that they are powerless.
Yep.
Yep.
And so they go, okay, like 2 options. I can go throw weights and get bigger and jacked and everyone will be scared of me.
Yep.
But then guys like us go, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're actually quite useless.
Let me
that.
show you the holes.
Yeah,
of
exactly,
your
right?
existence.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's exactly it. And so, I rarely get people in. And it's not everyone because it's all relative and relevant to the individual.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that it has to be like something really bad. But it could be something as simple as I've never been in a fight. I've never been punched in the face. I want to experience that.
Yeah.
And from that experience, they go, oh, wow, okay.
That shit
And
hurts.
Yes, it really hurts.
Really, it's not Hollywood here.
Jiu Jitsu. It is the most humbling, and in the true use of the word humble, it is the most humbling experience when you go, I should be able to. It's like, yeah, cool, come do it.
Yep.
Oh, I can't do it.
Nope.
And again, going back to the, the vibrating.
Yep.
And
You will
they're
either
powerless.
learn to leave your ego at the front door or you just won't walk through the front door anymore.
Yeah.
It is as black and white as that.
Yeah, quite legitimately.
We've talked a few times about the fact that, and it seems to be, and I think we even touched on it when Jerry was here, men in particular think that they can fight even if they've never been in a fight before in their life.
No. Yeah.
And so they come onto the mats thinking this is a fight, I'm going to win. And there's nothing that brings more joy to my husband than when he matches a new guy up with me, because he can prove, he's a big, strong guy and you're the same, right? Like, so you can tap hands, bump fists with a new person and then they go, oh yeah, but you're big and strong.
Yeah.
And you're a black belt. So, this does, of course you're going to beat me. Put them
You're
with
a petite little blonde that's
with
just
the lady,
smiling.
the middle-aged lady, as you would say. And I'm just like, tap hands, bump fists, cross collar choke.
Yep.
Every single time. That's
Smiling
why,
assassin.
I actually won't go with new people if it's no gi. If they're really much bigger than me, because I find that all my tools get taken away.
Yep.
And it's a little bit more, they're able to manhandle, whereas, now it's not so bad, but, in the history of it. But, with gi on, straight into that cross-collar choke. And then within 30 seconds, you prove what jiu-jitsu is.
Yep.
And then they go, and one or two things happen. Usually they go, this is awesome. I need to know this. Usually.
Yeah.
Every now and then there's that guy who goes,
Not for me.
not for me.
Don't want to get beaten up by a female.
And it's that state of vulnerability.
Yep.
Right. And for a lot of people, that is incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
But for the people that stick with the process, it's amazing.
And they're the
very
ones
humbling.
you want.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
the ones you want anyway.
It
Exactly.
becomes very humbling for them. Okay, so Dark Carnival's created. You're obviously very good at what you're doing. How hard was the journey through business? Because there's two sides to owning Dark Carnival, right? There's the physical teaching and coaching of all your expertise in Muay Thai and in Jiu Jitsu, and there's, students and creating the format for the students, etc. But then there's a whole business side to this world. How was that for you? What was your experience coming into this to be able to make it so successful?
So the business acumen side of things, which is ridiculously important for anything. It's the difference between running out of your garage and actually having a facility. And then I have a horrible habit of expanding my business every 2 years. COVID looked after that.
So do we. We've had five
Versions.
different moves.
Yeah.
And then every move has a point. So we go Iconic 1.0, 2.0. They're our locations. But then we've had Iconic 2.3 or 2.1. Or I think we're up to Iconic 5.4 or something. So we've upgraded and renovated the same space like 4 times since we've had it. So
Yeah. So I think
and I blame it on Grant's ADHD.
So one was the garage.
Nothing
2
to do
was
with
the school
ambition.
hall, 3 was Stockade, and then 4 was going, okay, now Dark Carnival is my own thing.
Yep.
I had 175 square meters, and then we shared so it was a 500 square meter like unit, and we shared it with the CrossFit gym.
Yep.
And so then we switched sides with them. So I went from 175 to 325, and then from 325 to 330 in our own premises.
Yep.
And then we took over upstairs just after the first lockdown, and then I've held myself back massively from going, cool, what else? And it's cool, make everything hum internally.
Yep.
So
Yes.
this is now the point of going, okay, I've now got to make it expand internal rather than external.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're in the same boat. How long have you been running your business from start?
So
How
10
many
years
years?
full time.
Yes.
Sorry, no, 2013.
Nice,
So
Nearly-
11 years. 11
Okay,
years
so
full time.
we're 9 years in April. So yeah, we are a couple of years behind you in the whole thing, but exactly the same trajectory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is it that you've done business-wise that's brought the success? What did you have to learn?
Heaps. Heaps.
Did you have any background coming into it?
No, so I mean, like from an employment standpoint, I did the typical route. So milk run as a kid, from the age of 13, I was doing milk run, and then worked in hospitality, which I believe everyone should do their tour of duty in, if not in the army, then in hospitality or retail, something that is customer facing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you
Absolutely.
get out without punching him in the face, you're doing really
Exactly.
well. Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't.
You learn a lot about people. And from there, I went into unsworn member of the AFP. So AFP for 11 years. And
sorry, for the international
Australian
people.
Federal Police.
Thank you.
Yep. And so I was an armour of 3.5 years, and I worked in high-tech crime operations for 8 years, and then took all my leave, long service leave, everything, milked it for as long as I could, which was 12 months,
Yep.
and tested.
That's
and I
exactly what we did. There's
this
so much
works.
correlation here. It's incredible because I come from police. And I did exactly the same thing. When it was time to take that leap,
Yep.
I've cashed in all my long service leave, stretched it out for 12 months
Yep.
and gone, can we do this
Yep.
full time?
Yep.
So, yep.
And I didn't pay myself a wage for the first 2 years just because I'm a very cheap individual.
Lived on rice and noodles.
Yeah, that's it. You have noodles?
We upgraded.
And so it was good because I was able to test, and Stockade gave me the best opportunity because it was a captured market effectively.
Yeah.
And so Andrew Sykes and Gary Hamilton, who were the kind of leads of it at the time, Drew Smith, they gave me this awesome opportunity. I was like, cool, I'm not going to stay here though. I'm straight off the bat, I've got my own goals and ambitions. And so when I opened up Dark Carnival, and I was okay, it's the Mitch show. I'm running everything.
Yeah.
And so that was all the private training, like personal training, all the classes. It was me from 6:30 in the morning through till 8 o'clock at night, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. That was me, cleaning, maintenance, everything.
Yep.
I had some really good hookups for like website marketing, that kind of deal. But yeah, first things you start to learn is, okay, right, process and procedures internally. What is our retention rate from trials? Where do our trials come from? And the biggest thing you find is word of mouth. Like it's people telling people.
Yep.
It's not, I saw your Facebook advertisement. I saw your newspaper ad or whatever it is. And so it's like, okay, cool. Wind back on that, really make it internal and go, okay, cool guys, you are responsible for this.
Yeah.
And if you want more training partners, you bring them in, but you'll be rewarded for it. So I'll give you discounted memberships if you bring people in. And so make it really meaningful and valuable for the people who you already have.
Yeah.
And then multi-level marketing.
That's awesome.
That's literally it. So, if I recruit 2 people, you recruit 2 people, and then all of a sudden we now have a core of people. And they come and go all the time. And the best thing about doing it for this long is that I've seen the next generation come through. So a guy that I trained 10 years ago, he trained with me for 3-4 years. He now has his kids training with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then they come back and train as well. It's like, oh, it's so good to see you back, man. It's awesome.
Because there could be a myriad of reasons for people to leave, but if they're leaving a good experience, then it's highly probable they'll
And that
come
is one
back
of the
with someone.
biggest business lessons I had to learn is it's not my problem. It's not all my problem.
Yeah.
Because I suffer from mistrust and abandonment issues, and
Don't we all?
don't
Yeah.
we all? And so when I get that person, get that email come through going,
Yeah.
"Hey, have to cancel," and then 3 or 4 others come through, "I have to cancel." I'm sitting there going, "What have I done?
Yep.
Like, was the gym not clean enough? Was the coach, did they not enjoy themselves? Blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And well, no, it's just that I've got a baby coming.
That's it.
Yeah.
I've got a new job.
Yeah.
I need to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
I'm unemployed for the next
Yep.
6 months because I can't get a job. Whatever it is,
Totally.
it's not always personal.
Absolutely, right? And
Yeah.
so, we always reach out to them and say, cool, like, why?
Yeah.
And, we wish you the best and everything, but if we'd love some feedback and that kind of thing. And seldom is it negative.
Yeah.
Seldom is it, this happened or that person or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And even in the instance where it could be, conveyed as negative, this just wasn't for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, and you see them and they're training at another gym, but it's completely different style or whatever it is. Sweet. No,
And that's okay.
That's absolutely
And
fine.
that's actually one of the biggest lessons we had to come to, or I had to come to as well, was being okay with that being okay.
Yeah.
Being okay with someone leaving and going down the road to where they've got a different vibe, different training style, different whatever, and going, well, isn't it great that we have these options? Because you're happy. And maybe had they stayed because there was no other option, then they would have become unhappy, and then that creates its own cancer within your environment. So
Absolutely.
I'd rather see someone unhappy leave than to try and force them to stay sometimes,
Yeah, totally.
And I think too, like I know both of you. I know you really well, and I've met you enough times now, and we've interacted quite a bit since I saw you last. That I think if people in your respective gyms had issues, you guys give the vibe and you throw out the atmosphere that people can come and talk to you. And they can use their words and they can say they were unhappy about something or whatever, and you guys will work to try and help, to facilitate, to make it better, to correct it or whatever. So it's rare that I would think somebody would leave with the shits, because that's just not the vibe that you're giving out in the gyms.
Yeah.
They can talk. People
It has
can
happened
open
from
up.
time to time.
Yeah,
No, it
look,
totally has
you know,
happened, yeah.
sometimes there's just fucktards, and there you go.
She got the
I had to
word
throw it in
out.
once.
Yes.
Sometimes fucktards just exist.
Absolutely.
And you don't want them anyway, so whatever.
That's right. That's right.
There's
You
a
gotta
gym somewhere
let it
else
go.
for them.
I'm interested in a question because I find this to be true for us, and I want to know if it's true for you. When you lose someone, and I'm not talking necessarily about white belts, because I find that the turnover can sometimes, be a little higher there. They come in, try it a few months, and then, it fades off, whatever. But if you lose, say, a blue belt, purple belt, something, for any reason, maybe they're not happy, or maybe they've got to move or had a baby or whatever the case is, for us, it's like, oh, that's such a bummer. Like, I've lost this student within, I would say, a week, and never more than a
you
week.
said this the other day.
Yeah, I have someone else of equal or greater rank walk through the door. It's like the universe just goes, here you go.
Yeah.
I don't
Replacement.
know, does that happen for you?
Yes and no, because there's always that void that individual leaves.
Yes.
Yep.
So because I don't know if it's like a capacity thing, but there's like an awesome amount of energy in the gym, and then one person leaves and you feel that void and you go, oh man, like that person was always there.
Yep.
And then someone else comes in and just fills that void or expands that void.
Yeah.
But there's always that little bit of that person. And like I can literally go through the entire roll call in my head of this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. And you go, I miss that individual. And I'd randomly say, hey dude, like just doing a welfare check. How you going?
Yeah.
And I never get like left on red, that kind of thing. It's like, hey Mitch, great to hear from you, blah, 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 blah. Life's really good here. It's like, man, like if they're still in Canberra, dude, don't be Australian, drop in. And within a month, I'll see them, hey man, how you going? Yeah,
Cool.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, but so yes and no, because I just find that the new people and the energy they bring is just different.
Yeah.
And it's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Or seldom is a bad thing, I should say. But yeah, it's always good. It's always good.
So in Dark Carnival, you've got Muay Thai and you've got Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Yep.
Do you train any other forms in there?
So those are our two core classes. And we also run an MMA class,
Okay.
which effectively allows people to combine the two.
Yep.
So, we get the Muay Thai guys stay back, learn a little bit of groundwork. You get the ground guys who go, cool, I want to learn a bit of striking.
Yep.
And that's excellent. But we have other programs, and so we have all of our kids programs as well. So DC Kids, which is all geared towards anti-bullying.
So you do get kids in your Dark Carnival?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I knew you did. I was just being
Absolutely.
facetious.
There are some parents that'll walk through that black door.
They're like, this place is awesome.
This is awesome. That's
Kids
exactly
vibe
it, because
real quick.
it's not by any standards a clean-cut looking gym.
Yeah.
It's a facility, and you walk in and people go, someone lives here.
Yep.
And you go, yeah, like we do.
Yeah.
Like this is exactly it. And in particular, I do. Like I forget that this is my place sometimes. And it's like, this is a cool gym. Like, it's my gym. It's like, completely forget that, So we have our DC Kids program, Kids BJJ, Kids Muay Thai,
Yep.
and that's ages 4 all the way through to 15.
So what's the difference with the anti-bullying program? What is the DC the DC program?
Yep. So the DC Kids is so we have a different 10-week terms and different focus every term.
Okay.
And so term 1 is Jiu Jitsu, but it is all street kind of orientated. So if the kids fall over, if they get taken down, and also how to take someone down, how to hold them.
And are they doing that in gi?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. So they learn to use the little black
the
Ds with the
lapels
logos on the
and-
back.
Yeah, that's very cute.
And then term 2, we do street boxing. So effectively, they learn how to take a punch.
Yep.
And then they learn, if they need to, how to throw back and lay down some covering fire. And,
Yep.
if they need to defend themselves, here's how you defend yourself.
Okay.
Term 3 is locks, chokes, holds, and clinch.
Yep.
So if they get grabbed in all the various ways, so like headlocks, that kind of thing, how to get out of it.
Yep.
And then term 4 is kicks. So if you're being kicked and how to use your legs to... So it's effectively like a broken down version of MMA.
Yep. But at kid level.
Yeah, but at kid level. And it's
For the
all geared
schoolyard.
towards... So the first thing they learn is like how to break fall, how to use a technical get up, how to stand,
Yep.
and then how to use their voice. So we'll like straight away get them in, push them back off, and and make sure you move away.
Yeah.
We don't do.
Yep.
That's the international symbol for let's fight.
Yes.
We don't do karate hands.
Yep.
We actually say back off, and
Yeah.
I want to see you back off. Don't just say back off and move forward.
Yep.
That's very confusing.
Yeah.
Back off and move away. And
Yep.
so, then from there, okay, now shield up. So, term 1, they learn, okay,
Yep.
term 1 jiu-jitsu, we'll throw them on the ground, break fall. If they can't use technical get up, learn a scissor sweep straight away. Tripod sweep straight away.
Oh, cool.
If they're pinned under side control,
Yep.
how to either get up into like a scramble point or pull back through to guard to scissor sweep,
Okay.
scissor sweep to mountain, like make them eat their hands.
Yep.
For the kids, you go, cool, take my hands, put them in my mouth, get to knee ride, disengage, all that kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's so empowering
Yeah.
for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you find most of your kids who are there doing Muay Thai and who are doing Jiu Jitsu are also doing this, or do they come to do this and then they break away?
So what happens is that the DC Kids program is what we call a soft entry. So for the kids that go, I don't want to learn fighting.
Yep.
I want to learn self-defense. You go,
Yep.
cool, here's self-defense. Here's the happy head. Like, no, here's what's actually happening. You will get punched in the face. But it's all under the guise of self-defense.
Yep.
Which is a really important thing for a child to learn.
Yep.
And parents love that. They love that terminology.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And then from there, the kids might go, I really enjoy striking.
Yep.
I want to learn. Oh, cool, we have Muay Thai.
Yep.
Oh, they might go, I really love the grappling. I want to do this. The issue that we have is that we get kids that go, okay, cool. When I turn 15, what happens? And you go, well, do Muay Thai and do Jiu Jitsu. And they go, but I want to do this. And you go, this is now training street.
Yeah.
And we can't train street.
Yeah.
Like this.
You've got to come back into the arts at that point.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. And we have to go the sport of Muay Thai, the sport of Jiu Jitsu.
Yep.
And we still combine the two, and that's
Yeah.
called MMA. But
Yeah.
they go, and that's the issue that we run into invariably is
Okay.
that the kids go, oh, I don't want to be an athlete. And you go, but you're good.
But you're already an athlete.
Yeah, and you already are an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's Muay Thai. I don't
Wow,
wanna do
it's
that.
really funny that
Yeah.
there's no way to verbalize that for them and turn them around in that space, because that's just terminology.
Yep.
Like that's what literally that's just getting head fucked basically at that point.
And so when we run our 4 and 5s, They only go hands-on with the coaches.
Yep.
6 to 8s will occasionally get them to go hands-on with each other.
Okay.
9 to 15s, they go hands-on with each other.
Yep.
And they'll learn how to hold pads and all this kind of thing. It's like, dude, you already know exactly what to do.
You're doing it.
You're doing it.
You're
Yeah,
there.
just do it. Oh, yeah, but they're adults. It's like, yeah, but they were kids once too, yeah.
Oh, do you know? Okay, so sorry. The transition from kids to adults is the block. We're actually going through that with one of our daughters at the moment, Scarlett. So Scarlett is phenomenal at jiu-jitsu. She's this kid that she's a pretzel. You can put her in any position and she'll wiggle out of it somehow, and you
can fold her in 3.
pretty much, and
Not
she'll
2,
just giggle
3.
and then just bend through and come out. And she is very technical as well. She does have very good jiu-jitsu. But she has and she's tall. So she's taller. She's the middle child, but she's taller than everybody. You've met her. I don't know why I'm describing her to you, but anyway.
For the listeners.
Yeah, for you guys. But she has trained with the kids. She's trained with the Rats once or twice. She's trained with the Bradshaws quite a bit. But she just had this thing in her head where adults. No, they're bigger than me. They're strong. They're all this stuff, and she was getting too big in the kids' class. Like there was just no challenge, and she wants to compete. Yeah, I just did it. Don't worry. She absolutely wants to compete, and so I just said to her, "You have to step up now. You have to come into the adults' world. You've got the teenage class, and that's great, but you need more training than just that one class a week. And to get better, to push yourself, you have to go up against people who are better than you. That's how you're going to see where you're up to. That's how you're going to be able to push yourself and learn and strive." Anyway, it's been an ongoing battle to and froing. And she finally did it the other night. And Rach and I sat there and I was talking to Rach saying, we're trying to identify 3 people that I want her to go and approach. And we did. We picked 3 men in the gym and we said, right, you go and ask each one of them for a role. And we picked guys who we knew would challenge her, who we knew would push her, but we also knew who she was 100%
They make it playful and fun and
without making it easy and her
Exactly.
feeling like it was them making
going,
it too
hey,
easy.
little lady, come and hop on this.
Come and have a roll. And she came away ecstatic. But it was that mindset in her that kept blocking her, going, no, I'm not going to roll with the adults. No, I'm not going to roll with the adults. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Though,
it takes parents, I think.
I remember Connor when he was about 14, 15, and he's my oldest, and he was like, I don't want to roll with the adults. They're all really sweaty and gross. And I'm just like, but dude, you would, you roll, and he's a big boy, right? Like you can keep up with these guys. And it kind of, that jump even was like a bit of a block for him for a little
mental
while.
block.
So
I think it takes parents stepping in going, whoosh, in you go.
Yeah.
They've got to be accountable for it at that point. You as a parent, you've got to say, yeah, off you go. Even if it's just for 3 months or something, push them into it and at least get over that hump.
Yeah.
If getting over the hump, then they go, it's still not for me. Okay, fine. But don't walk away at the transitional phase. I think that's sad.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so you've got the kids program. You've got the DC self-defense program.
Yep.
And then you've got the kids side, Muay Thai, and the BJJ side. And you've got the adults programs. Are there other things in there that you've got going
absolutely. So Redzone Threat Management.
Yeah.
So I'm the Australasian train director for Redzone.
So slow that down. What is Redzone? I know we've done the episode before, but for those who haven't catch it.
So there's a creation of Jerry Wetzel, who's based in LA, and it is focused on empty hand combatives, knife defense, ground fighting.
Yep.
And it's all geared towards, so it has a massive civilian application, but more for individuals who will find themselves in that. So law enforcement, military, that kind of thing.
Even first responders and medics,
yes, first
right?
responders. Yep. So nurses, frontline health.
Yep.
Anyone that is going to potentially face violence.
Yep.
Yep.
It is the number one system in my opinion.
Yep.
And honestly, the way that society's going at the moment,
fuck,
I honestly
especially in
think it
this
should
country.
be everybody learning this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
should be mandatory.
Think back, what was it, 6 months ago to Bondi?
Oh,
Think back
absolutely.
to,
Yep.
the other day at Bay Village, there was a kid caught with like a crocodile Dundee-sized knife on them.
Knives are easy to get.
Really
We can't
easy.
get guns easy, but by Christ, I can get knives easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm far more terrified about knives.
Yeah,
to be
me
honest,
too. Yep.
Because in the States, different story, but because they might be carrying.
That's
but
here. Everybody is.
yeah.
Yep.
But for here, like small knife.
Yeah, out of the
And you
kitchen
don't see it
drawer.
coming.
Easily concealed,
That's
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
Like you having this, altercation or this verbal disagreement, and
Yep.
then they put the hand in the pocket
Yeah.
and out, boom, boom, boom. And you.
And I like that about the Redzone Threat Management Program, because you're not just teaching what to do in regards to when the knife's out. There is so much before that.
yeah.
Yep.
So you don't just teach that at your gym though, do you?
No. So I get engaged by other gyms as well to come around
Yep.
workshop seminars. I do a lot of work with AFP
Yep.
as well for some of their specialist teams. And I've had the joy and pleasure of going around the world and coaching US Marshals. Had a help Jerry with the DEA course. Went over to Switzerland.
One of them.
One of the two. It was cold.
Same but
and
different.
we had thongs on. So it was
And it
excellent.
started with S.
It was cold and you had
Thongs on.
thongs
Yeah,
on.
'cause
And
Jerry
again-
and I are perpetually in thongs.
Hold up for the international listeners. That is flip-flops, thank you. Things that go on your feet, not
That's
up
it.
your bum.
Yep, that's exactly
Okay,
it.
just wanted to clarify.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd
Clarify
be
that.
weird walking around.
And
It was cold.
you don't want to see the photos.
Sorry, Kaz.
Chili internals. Sorry.
And Thailand as well. So I was able to work with some a small team of Navy SEALs over in
cool.
Thailand. Yeah,
Oh, that would have been epic.
yeah, they were awesome. They were
Okay.
rad.
Oh, I'm
And,
coming
but
with
again,
you on
though,
the next one.
it's the biggest thing that I find is that, especially for the gun guys, is that as soon as you take the guns away, there's a lot of disparity.
That removes
Yeah.
all the power.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Massively.
they would be feeling naked at that point.
Yep. And, there's nothing better than myself and my offsider, Dan Lowe, who's also a black belt now as well. And we go run these workshops and it's like, cool, remember who you are.
Yeah.
And like you're a police officer, even though you don't have a kit on, I still want you to control and command and access your tools exactly as if don't fight us.
Yep.
And invariably they fight us and we win.
Yep.
Because this is our world now.
That's right.
And whereas you step back, go taser, it's like, yep, cool,
Yep.
and down on my knees, okay, where do you want my hands? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you move that away, you remove their power.
That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
if they can't access it, then
Yeah,
There's
and I don't know.
problematic.
I've never been in, so I don't know. But I know they have to do a lot of training in regards to guns and tasers. I don't know how much self-defense, how much self-preservation, how much physical training
Very
they're doing
little.
in regards to combat.
Very little.
Yeah.
So-
because they've got the gun.
yes. And if you've got a vest full of hammers, everything
Yeah.
looks like a nail. And
Yeah.
so the escalation protocols just aren't there.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, I've tried for many years and tried to push, but it's perpetually against there's financial constraints, budgeting for
Yeah.
government agencies. There's also the everyone now has a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And so if someone's there being tasered, that's one thing. But if someone's got someone what looks like a chokehold, they're choking him with
Yeah.
brutal use of force breach and blah blah blah. It's like, no, they just got punched
Yeah.
and now they're on the ground.
And do you know what dumbfounds me is that everybody's got mobile phones and things like that. But if you talk about the Bondi, the knifing back in Bondi, it's all well and good to have phones when you don't feel like you're in danger and everybody gets out the phone and they start recording when they're just watching. Nobody was recording on that day because everybody was hightailing it out of there because everybody was scared.
Yep.
Yep.
Right? So if we need to bring this back to reality a little bit. If our enforcement are trained properly to disengage, to down tools and all the rest of it, and the money is put into them to train properly, then we get the responders in. They get to be able to go in and do these kind of things. But you see one dickhead with a camera who then goes public and goes, oh, he was using excessive force without the true story behind it. Politicians are too afraid to put their hand in their bloody pocket and put the money in to support these people and get the right training that they actually need. Our paramedics aren't trained correctly. Our frontline responders in the hospitals, emergency departments and everything aren't trained correctly. It takes one dickhead to go fucking rogue in a shopping centre, and how many did we lose?
7 it was.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the decision making at the top end at that process. I really don't.
It's incredibly difficult.
It sucks
for all involved, and context
really
is key.
Yeah.
And so when you get like a little snapshot of an incident, oh, it's like, cool, show me the 20 minutes before that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Show me the police officer being spat at, being pushed, shoved, warning them, like command and control, all that kind of deal, and then to the point where they've gone, cool, take down away, oh, look at his bashing.
That's it. Yeah.
Like,
I know. 30 seconds as opposed to the 20 minutes before.
Yeah, it's exactly.
And where is the media accountability in that too? Why are they allowing this to roll without the full story? I think they have to be called into question on it as well.
I think we need a whole other podcast for this.
Yeah. It's a very serious topic.
There is a lot to unfold.
It is something that I'm very passionate about, and I have a program which I'm hoping to implement, as I just literally need someone to pick it up, which is the Paragon Project.
Okay, so talk us through that.
So it used to be like way back when that if you had a police officer that lived on your street, it was like, oh, cool, we've got, constable, whoever it is, or sergeant, senior sergeant, blah, blah, blah. And everyone would know that community policing was a real thing. Whereas now there is no respect for the individual, and there is no fear for the repercussions of breaking the law, of doing whatever it is. And so the Paragon Project works on front-loading their training for first responders, and this is everyone across the board. Anyone who is police, military, fireys, medical, frontline health, emergency services work across the board. But then also getting into the schools and going, cool, like when something goes wrong, what do? You call a police officer, right? So we want these police officers to not be, well, I can't do that, that kind of thing. You don't want, fireys or ambulance workers or paramedics work up going, can't do anything about that because they're a danger. You want them to be able to rock up, and you want them to be supported by the people who've called them. And so the criminality function of it, and there should be repercussions for these individuals. Then if you assault a police officer, you assault there should
a paramedic or a nurse or whatever.
Absolutely. But, and so what I'm trying to do with the Paragon Project is to not only educate and, again, if more kids did Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and there's been well-regarded studies on this, is the acts of recidivism drops, absolutely drops, because they go, oh, here's the actual reality of violence. Like, man, do you want to tap or not? Because it's either tap, snap, or nap.
They stop watching Hollywood and they start physically receiving. It becomes a different landscape.
Totally. And then you've got police officers that rather than rocking up with their, vest full of hammers and approaching the problem like it's a nail, to be able to actually, first of all, communicate, and then if they get hit, to not respond in a massive, to be able to go, hey, cool, you get one. Don't do that again. And away we go. And, I always tell the story of one of the old boys, Sam Robertson. So he's an old Northern Territory copper, trained back in the day. And he goes, Mitch, when I was, he's like 6 foot something, grey hair, like sharp, set your clock to it, that kind of guy. And he goes, Mitch, back in the day when I was at the college, all we did was boxing and wrestling. That was our self-defense. That was our use of force. And when you walk into one of the pubs, back in the outback, and you've got a warrant to, you literally walk up, clap your hand on the shoulder and go, mate, come with me. And they look up and go, okay. Because they knew if I throw down, you will throw down as well. If I run, you will run after me. And it's like, yes, I will. Come with me. And they go, okay. He goes, whereas now you get these, and by no means is he being disparaging towards females, but he goes, you've got young female, hello, I'm here to, it's like, mate, walk in, speak confidently,
Yep.
And so you are coming with me now. And don't make a scene. Let's chat outside and then we can sort this out. And people go, no. And then when they go, no, what are you left with?
Tools. Hammer and nail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. And, you know, you've got videos galore of like, you know, police officers going to use their gas, and as a punch gets thrown, they go to shield and gas
goes everywhere else.
Other team members. You know, you've got UDs, unintentional discharges, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And
do you know the original creation of the Police Boys Club or the Police Youth Boys Club or Youth Police Boys Club, whatever it was?
PCYC?
PCYC, back in the 70s, 80s, was all about that. It was bringing the kids off the streets, and it was police officers and kids working together, and it was teaching defence, and it was teaching boxing, and it was hanging out and basketball and all the rest of it. But it was for that mutual respect. And it was for that understanding of what they're actually there for. I don't know if they exist anymore, but you certainly don't
Unfortunately,
hear about
the funding and the availability and everything's just taken away. So they're closing up
left,
rapidly,
right, and
unfortunately.
Yeah,
so as part of the Paragon project, one of the youth detention centres in Canberra, I put forward to them and said, cool, like here's my idea. Don't teach them boxing, Muay Thai, etc., because the PR nightmare for that would be huge.
Yeah.
Teach them Jiu Jitsu, and here's why. And sent them the studies.
And what was the here's why? In a brief, what was the here's why for that?
So again, it is the reality of conflict and how to navigate this and understand that your training partner is your most valuable asset. So if you're number one king, good. You can go train by yourself in the corner.
Yep.
See how long you last and how boring that is.
Yeah.
But then you have this awesome crossover between them and the guards.
Yep.
And there'll be no submissions. It is all positional.
Okay.
And there's gameplay in it and blah, blah, blah. When they've proven themselves down the track, then we can add in submissions.
Yep.
What I'll also do is I'll get in some of my guys and we'll bring them in and we'll train with them. 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, we'll tell them they're police officers.
Have you got it signed off yet?
No. It got shit canned straight away.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Yep. Unfortunately, because again, just
that'd be
it cannot be seen to be
amazing.
weaponising youth
Okay.
offenders. It's like, no, but
Jiu
it's not
Jitsu
how
is
it
not
happens.
weaponising though. That's the
Like
thing.
no doubt in your guys' gym as well. Like we have guys who have ex cons, like who've had done jail time.
Yep.
We've got public servants. We've got corporate executives. We've got and we've got police officers.
Yep. Every
All
walk
on
of
the
life.
mats. And everyone plays together.
Yep.
And it's amazing.
That gi goes on, and what you do outside of the gym
Does not
no
matter.
longer
Shite.
matters.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
100%.
It's one of the coolest things on earth,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so trying to take that into, okay, cool. Yes, I'm here to guard you.
Yep.
Like, yes, I'm here to enforce the law, like whatever it is, but this is a system, and we all need to play within the system.
Yep.
And so if you need to realize, again, fear or respect.
But we talk about this all the time, especially in the kids' world with jiu-jitsu, because it's not just teaching them physically how to play that game of chess, right? It's teaching them confidence. It's teaching them some self-respect. It's teaching them respect of other people. It's teaching them how far they can actually push themselves. You know, when a kid's under another kid and they can't breathe and they're starting to panic, there is that calming teaching that comes through as well. Okay, so when you're all of a sudden out on the street and your adrenaline's starting to ramp up, if you've got it deep-seated in you, that calming composition, then you can take that, right?
Yep.
So it's not just teaching them how to play physical chess in pajamas.
Yep.
I stand by it. I don't know why we don't just make this mandatory across the
No,
board.
absolutely.
In youth centres, in schools, everywhere. Everywhere there is a child, this should be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
mean, even beyond that, it teaches them boundaries. It
Yep.
teaches them to respect the word no, which
Yeah.
is tap, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Stop.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
Yep.
Like it's like Pavlov's dog, you know, like when someone you're wrestling with them, they tap. What do? You let go straight
let go.
away. You
Yep.
stop what you're doing straight away. So you think about taking that out into the world. If you're a
Yeah.
bit of a rat bag or whatever,
Yeah.
and someone says to you, stop,
Yeah.
don't, no, you know, that innate kind of programming,
Yeah.
you go, stop.
Yeah.
What am I stopping for?
But
Okay,
I also
you know.
think it would stop a lot of rat baggish behaviour as well.
Of course, because the respect that it starts to bring into you towards other people,
Yeah.
caring for them.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of rat bags too are kids that maybe, mum and dad are working their asses off and they're just not at home, or they're just not present in their child's life for whatever reason. If this kid's turning up to a community every week, this kid's starting to feel like they belong somewhere and they're a part of something bigger than themselves. And it's amazing watching kids transition through from good backgrounds, from hard backgrounds, irrelevant. The higher they get, then you start seeing them give back.
Yes.
And you start seeing them take little kids and going, oh, no, put your foot here and do this and do that. That's giving them self-confidence. That's giving them some form of achievement too, right? I'm now becoming the helper. They're less inclined to go out and be an arsehole in society.
And you said it a few weeks ago. You were like, people need people and people need community.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
when you have a strong community, then you have good things happen.
Yep.
And what invariably happens, if you don't have a community that's positive, you'll find a negative community.
Yep.
You know, and you become friends with people who are like-minded and this and that, and the next thing good kids are running amok, or good things, are no longer happening for them.
Yeah. Chris Harder always says environment is stronger than will.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your will can be as strong as, but if the environment is shit, the environment is terrible, then you can be as strong-willed as you want. And I've chatted to him. One of the things I love about Chris is we just have long-ass discussions, same as Jerry. Just long-ass discussions on solving world problems effectively.
Yeah.
And but do you think the junkies want to live like junkies? No, that is the environment.
That's right.
That is the environment. That's
slippery slope.
it just goes with it.
Yeah.
And so for me, exactly, it takes a village.
Yeah.
And so to have these really healthy role models, male and female, around you, and you go, okay, rad. So here's this guy who is rocking up and father of three, in his 40s, but still wants to be able to grow old disgracefully. Awesome.
Yep.
Absolutely. He rocks in and he tries to tear people apart because he's never done it before. Mm-hmm. And he believes he should be able to. It's like, no, my friend, no. And then to learn and be exposed, no, dude, we were all there. I've all been here and done this.
Yeah.
And then exactly the next thing you see is that guy's there with this 16-year-old going, hey, dude, calm down.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. You're younger than me, you're fitter than me,
right?
You're stronger than me, but it's amazing to watch.
It really
and
is.
so for me personally, it comes down to fear and respect.
Yep.
And it's not fear of the individual, it's respect of the individual.
Yes.
And so rather than, having a police officer or similar and they go, oh, they're going to bash me. I was like, no, you should respect that person.
Yep.
Fear the outcome.
Yes.
Fear the outcome, respect the individual.
Yep.
And for that to happen, there has to be this almost like societal shift where people once again go, okay, cool, you have value,
Yep.
we all have value. Let's realize this value and go, okay, fear and respect.
Yep.
I respect you as an individual and I fear the outcome.
Yep.
Whether it be of messing with you directly or legally.
Yeah.
Medically.
Yeah.
Well, there's all these outcomes, right?
That's
And
right.
so if kids don't learn that.
Do you know, we hear it a lot, and I've heard it a lot through defence from our experience. People going, but there's a bad apple, not all police are good police. But not all humans are good humans. No. So, of course, you're going to have this conglomerate of people in uniform. Not every single one of them is going to be a good person, but they weed out the shit just like every other community, and you don't tar 98% for 1%.
Correct.
So, and I just feel like society as a whole is it's the same as the Defence Force. The Defence Force recruitment is at an all-time low because of a few stories around a few soldiers or a few defence personnel. No, that's not 98% of the Defence Force. That's a few stories around a few people. It's the same as the police force. If they bring out that there was one bad cop, well, that was one bad human that put on a uniform. It's not the police force. So I think we need to do better at raising our kids to understand that and not let society dictate that everybody is therefore a bad person.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you own a gym. How many shitheads do you have?
Well, we don't tolerate them.
Right. Right. No, that's exactly it, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'll give everyone a chance.
Yep.
Everyone a chance.
Yep.
With exception.
Yeah.
Yep. If they're actively engaged in criminal activity, so if they're bikies, etc., no.
Yeah.
Like hardline, no.
Yeah.
But if this dude rocks in and goes, look,
I've got a story.
Yeah, complete discretion. Complete discretion.
Did my time, paid.
I've done my time. Blah blah blah. I'm trying to fly straight. Now. I'm recovering from whatever addiction. It's like, dude,
come on in.
Yeah, let us
as
help
long as you fly straight, let us help you.
Yep.
We do exactly the same.
We get guys go drop, and then sail. And it's like, yes, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guys that come in that are shitheads, they don't stay because they don't get their egos fed.
Yep.
Like fast enough.
You said that the other day.
Yeah.
They're just not getting their ego fed and therefore they'll go elsewhere. Yep, very much so. Yep. All right, so mindful of time.
Yes.
Is there any other questions that you have?
Just want to circle back to something you talked about before with your book. Yes. And you're writing a book.
Yes.
Are you allowed to give anything away? What is it about?
Absolutely. So the book's called Long Story Short. And it is influenced by a book called Hagakure. And Hagakure is the code of Bushido in death, effectively, in the shadow of leaves is what it, and it's from 13 ancient scrolls, but effectively it's this whole lot of here's the code of conduct and here's all the anecdotes. And so the aim for my book is I teach concepts and performance concepts effectively. And it kind of breaks down into three parts, which the first part is the story and the power of the story and identifying the story. The second is the moment in time and being aware of the moment in time, so the present moment. And then the third is the choice and the power of the choice. Yep. And it's whether things have value or no value, effectively. And so it's very binary in that instance. And from that, there's sub kind of bits and pieces. But these are things that through my upbringing, my childhood, my history, my trials, my traumas, my whatever it is, that I've been able to, I've had exposure to from various sources, and I take it and make it more relevant and meaningful to me, and through that to other people.
Yep. So
Simon Sinek talks about start with why. So everyone starts with the what and then the how and the why. You start with why, how, what. I love looking at the hows and the whys for so many things.
Yep. And
invariably it leads to a what. But whether you start with the why, so why do I act this way? Why do I lash out this way? Why do I respond this way? Why?
I do that with my teaching. When I'm teaching Jiu Jitsu, why do we need to put this hand here? Because of this. So I often incorporate that just even in coaching.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So the what will be an armbar.
Yep.
How do I apply an armbar? Why would I apply an armbar?
Yes.
And it's cool, well, here's all the things that need to come into this. And for me personally, relationships on and off the mats, in life, work, employment, all these things. And I've just had multiple things happen where these concepts, for the longest time I was teaching, but I was never really following them. And then when 35 years of age, just huge light bulb, kind of paradigm shift. And I was like, okay, right. All of this stuff I've been coaching for the last 14 years, this now...
You have to implement.
Now, okay, now I'm really starting to, you mean I don't have to respond to everything? Okay, wait, I might not be a piece of shit human. Oh, wow, okay, cool. I am actually valuable.
You started to own your worth.
Yeah, exactly, right? Mm-hmm. And so coming into that and going, okay, so then taking these, it started with the three, and then it's okay, but these are important as well. So now it's going from 3 chapters to 7 chapters. And effectively it's taking direct examples of my story.
Yep.
So bits that I can go, like this time, and I give an example. And here's what happened, here's what I thought, here's what I believed. And it was completely wrong. And so here's what I did, and here's now when I've had this other thing happen.
Yep.
And it's worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got to say, I've published a book, and I know the detail, the effort that has to go into writing a book and to get it published. And I have had the honour of reading parts of your book.
Yes.
And you are a phenomenal wordsmith. You are captivating in your writing. So I cannot wait. I harass him every week going, can I have some more, please?
I'll send you what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is
when
phenomenal.
When is this expected to come out?
So it was meant to be finished this year.
Yeah.
It's on my board of things that like to finish this year.
You've got 3 days left.
Yeah,
like,
totally
come on,
right.
chop.
So that will be by the end of next year.
Yeah,
it'll be out and fully released. I have no idea how it's going to be released. It might just be an ebook or whatever it is.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the people that I've shown have said this is awesome.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, cool. I'm happy. I'm happy because
That's exciting.
It's not to make money. It's just again, it's
get your story out there. Yeah, share with
Yeah.
the world.
It does. It is captivating. And even in just what I've read, as you said, it's that light bulb moment of, oh, that's right. And you get a lot of that from even just what you've sent me. And it's everything in the realms of how we live too.
Yep.
And it took me a really long time. Like I'm 52 and I didn't come to my light bulb moment till I was about 45. So kudos for you getting there earlier. And I think it is such an awakening moment that people will know when it hits them.
Yep.
And I think if everybody's fortunate enough to go through it, great. But if you get the chance, as soon as you release it, people listening, pick it up because it's worth the read.
Awesome.
It's very cool. You're very welcome.
How do we find you, Mitch?
In Canberra. Can't miss the building. We try to keep social medias to a minimum, but we're on Facebook, Dark Carnival CBR.
Yep.
Instagram, Dark Carnival CBR as well, I think it is. And apart from that, hit us on the website.
Do you have a website out there? What's your website?
Yep. So www.darkcarnival.com.au.
Yep.
And
if there's any businesses out there that are in the private sector or government sector that want to talk to you specifically about this self-defense programs and the Redzone Threat Management programs, can they hook you up on the website for that?
Absolutely. Contact pages and contact details are on the website.
Beautiful.
And social medias. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds awesome.
Perfect. We do a thing at the end of every episode, which you've probably heard, which is HOPE. And that's our acronym for helping one person every day. Have it tattooed on my arm. I'm
feeling quite untattooed.
Yeah, I think you have to go and get your HOPE tattooed.
I technically only have one tattoo. Just
We'll get you ink, don't worry.
I've got some, but
you do.
Not as much as you guys.
So we whip around the room and just based on the subject and topics that we've talked about today, we think about everybody that's listening out there and what we hope they would take away from the episode. So
man, when Jerry did this, he killed it. What?
Yeah, he really did. Hey, he nailed it. Yeah, there's no replay on that. Sorry.
The pressure's on.
The pressure's on. Rach, what's your hope?
Look, from our discussions today, my hope is that when you're training, because, a lot of our listeners, majority, probably all of them, train Jiu Jitsu and probably some other martial arts as well. But when you're training, think about, if this person can hit me, what am I doing right now? I always try and do at least one round every session where I think, and I don't say it out loud to my partner, but I think it. I'm thinking, okay, this person can hit me at any time. So I'm protecting my head, I'm protecting my neck, I'm keeping my posture, I'm managing distance, I'm keeping them close or I'm pushing them far away. So
you kind of go into the role with the street mindset.
I do, yeah. But I'm not hitting them, they're not hitting me, but I'm imagining that this could go south at any point.
Yeah.
It changes the way you roll. It's very much bringing those elements into play where I've got to get on top and stay on top and close down the space and control their arms so that they're not whacking me. If I take their back, I'm mindful. They could headbutt me in my face right now. They could throw punches from in front to my face right now. So you tend not to go to those more dangerous positions. Not dangerous, but you know what I'm saying in the context. So my hope for people would be explore that kind of training a little bit. It's fun, but it also it makes things a little exciting and it changes things up for you and brings new life into your jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
Yeah. What's your hope,
Do
Kaz?
that. My hope really is same as I've said a couple of times now. Thank you to all the listeners out there. We love the vibe that you guys are putting into us. And I'd really love you to share us out there with people who aren't training. I'd love people who aren't training in jiu-jitsu to hook into the podcast because, as we all agree, more partners on the mat are important. So maybe we are just the vibe for someone to listen to be intrigued, to be inquisitive, and to get out there. So share us out there to people who aren't listening, and let's see if we can't get more training partners onto the mats for all your gyms out there listening. And I'm going to steal two this week. I really hope that any parents that are out there listening, if your kids are training, they have just started training or, involved in their training and they are starting to push back, every kid goes through discomfort. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It'll be school, it'll be jiu-jitsu, it'll be soccer, whatever. Every kid will go through a level of discomfort. Please don't give in. Please be the parent at that point that pushes and says, no, in this realm you're staying. Because I've watched my kids go through martial arts and I've watched them go into uncomfortable situations aware, and I know what it gives them at the very minimum is a fighting chance. So please be the parents that say discomfort is something you will have in life and you have to learn to push through it. Don't give in to the kids and let them walk away. That's my hope.
It's like the lobster story.
The lobster story?
Yeah.
What's the lobster story?
How do lobsters know when they do shuck their shells?
How?
When they feel agitated, when they feel...
Ah.
And so they need to strip their shells. They grow into this little, it's almost like gelatinous state where they're incredibly vulnerable.
Yep.
And then they regrow another shell.
Harder, stronger.
Bigger.
Yep.
There you go.
And then when the first point that they know they need to grow is when they feel agitation.
Well,
Wow.
see, I want parents to think of their kids as lobsters. They're agitated and they need to shed a shell. But
Absolutely.
if you
It's
push
time
them
to grow.
through,
They become bigger
otherwise
and
they
better.
stay in the same shell and it'll crack.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Or they'll just never grow.
Yep.
I hope that your listeners enjoy this story. So it's a story of an abbot and his monks. And the abbot, so an abbot is a head monk. It's and they leave the monastery and the abbot walks out and the monks are walking out and the monks carrying a big boat. And they get down to the river and they put the boat into the river. Monks hop aboard, abbot hops aboard, sail across the river and they get out. Abbot hops out, monks hop out. Abbot walks around the corner, turns around, no monks. He walks back around the corner and he sees the monks pulling the boat out of the water. And he says, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Oh, Abbot, we're pulling the boat out of the water." And he goes, "I can see that. Why?" And the monks say, "Oh, but Abbot, we have a long journey ahead of us." And he goes, "Agreed, we have a long journey ahead of us. Why are you bringing this boat with us?" And he goes, "Oh, but Abbot, what if we come to another river? How will we cross it?" He goes, "That's a great question. Here's one in return. What if we don't come to another river?
What if?
Then we would have carried this heavy-ass boat on this long-ass journey for no reason. However, we will be coming back this way and we know that we have this river to cross and we have this boat to cross it. Put the boat down." And they carry on their merry way.
And if they get to the next river and they do need to cross it, they can build
They
a boat.
can build another boat. We built this one.
That's right. That's exactly right. Put
Yeah.
the boat down.
Put the boat down.
Yep. Very
Because
important.
often in life, we don't realise how many boats we're carrying just in case.
Yep. The what if factor.
Correct.
Yep. Matt says that to me all the time because I'm the worrier. I'm the what if. And Matt's response is, can we deal with that if we get to the what if?
Yep.
Yep.
Because what if we don't?
Yep.
Then you've just spent this whole time over here wasting all this energy.
Yep. To quote one of my good friends, Doug Kagi, what if all three bears had guns?
And then we're all in shit. It's time to go home.
I was
But
going to
it's a true
say,
statement.
to quote Grant Bradshaw, what if my auntie had a dick? Then she'd be my uncle. He hates what if questions because, you get that a lot on the mats.
Yeah.
And
What
people
if this happens?
What if this happens? What if, hang on, let's just practice this right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll deal with the what ifs later.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's just actually learn the thing first.
Yeah. Let's live in the here and now and worry about the what if it comes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Amen to that.
Love it.
Have a lovely week.
You too.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you hang out with us. Please come
thank you
back
very much for having
again.
me
Thank
on.
you, Mitch. It's been amazing.
I've had fun with you on the mats. I've had fun with you in my home, and I've had fun with you here on the podcast. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And you are always a pleasure to hang out with. Thank you for rolling with me today. I had so much fun.
It was awesome.
It was
You're like back at full steam ahead, I reckon.
No, not yet, but I'm getting there. No, my left arm's still not. It still just wobbles.
Slowly.
Slowly. I will say it was fun, and I sent you that message going, I'm just on a giddy high now. It was a
It's
good.
so
It was
good
a great
for mental
day.
health, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
I feel the same way. Like I feel quite broken at the moment, but I've had 4 very big days of training.
Yes.
And I'm just sort of ready to go home and pop some Nurofen. But
Go sleep.
Happily. If you like what you've heard today, please share.
Wait. The competition's still running.
Is it?
For the shirts. Yeah,
Okay.
dudes, people. Oh, maybe not by the time this goes to air. I'll shut up now. Let's move on to the next one. Sorry, peeps. I don't know where we're up to.
Do you want to recount that back in?
Nah, fuck it. Let's go. Whatever. I make bloopers.
You do. Actually, you know what I'm really looking forward to at the end of this year?
What?
I'm going to...
That's 2024, not 2025, people.
2025.
Okay, 2025.
I'm not going to tell you, actually.
Oh, who does that? No, that's a tease. No, come on, tell me.
I'm doing something really cool. I'll do something really cool at the end of 2025.
And it is?
Fine, I'll tell you.
Yeah, good.
I'm going to cut together all the times that you say
Fucktard.
and put them in a massive reel.
Yay! I'm in for that. That's my favouriteest word of the whole wide world. Addie, do you know, I got to say this. I know we're over time, but I'm going to say it anyway. We were driving home today and my youngest daughter said, Mum, do you think you have road rage? And I responded with, no, baby, I have idiot rage.
If there weren't any idiots,
I said, look
I
at me
wouldn't have
now.
rage.
Look at me now. There's all these cars around here and they're all doing the right thing and I'm fine. I'm lovely. It's only when an idiot turns up that I rage. It's not road rage, it's idiot rage. Because, you know, I don't like being around fucktards.
Anyway, back to what I was saying.
Right, yes.
If you liked what you heard today, like, share, subscribe.
That'd be awesome.
Share us with friends that do train jiu-jitsu. Share us with friends that don't train jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
We're here for everyone.
We are. We're here from them all.
Yep.
All around the world.
Love it.
It's awesome.
All right, let's
Have
sign
fun.
off now.
Hooroo.
See you next time.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks, Mitch.
This podcast is a My Broken Soldier production.
And brought to you by Iconic Jiu Jitsu.